The night in Cortland is always quiet. The narrow streets wind through the neighborhoods, the yellow lights casting a soft glow on the wet pavement after an evening shower. The wind blows gently, carrying the damp smell of earth and trees mixed with the warmth of roadside eateries. This is a small town where most people know each other and life moves slowly and peacefully. But tonight, that peace is broken by the sound of police sirens tearing through the night. James, a black man in his 30s, is walking home after a 12-hour shift at the factory. His face is tired and his shoulders are slightly slumped, but his eyes still exude determination. James is a gentleman who stays out of trouble. He loves his family, works hard to support his wife and children, and believes in what is right. But tonight, all his beliefs seem to be challenged. As James crossed the deserted intersection, a police car suddenly rushed over, its red and blue lights flashing furiously. "Stop right there." "Hey." The loudspeaker sounded authoritatively, causing James to turn around in surprise. Two police officers stepped out, their eyes cold and full of suspicion. James stood still, feeling his heart beat faster. "What's the matter, sir?" James asked, trying to stay calm. One of the two policemen, a tall man with a sharp voice, approached. "We received a report that you are a suspect in a hit-and-run accident not far away. Where is your car?" James was stunned. "Accident? I don't know anything about any accident. I just got off work and was walking home." However, his explanation fell on deaf ears. The second policeman, shorter but with equally sharp eyes, took out the handcuffs and signaled James to put his hands behind his back. "Wait, you're wrong. I didn't do anything." And James cried out, his voice laced with panic and helplessness. But no one responded. Cold handcuffs locked his wrists, and for a moment, James felt as if his world had collapsed. Not far away, Elon Musk stood in a small coffee shop, enjoying an espresso after a stressful day at work. He had just arrived in Cortland to survey a new project and decided to take a walk to relax. His sharp eyes were quickly drawn to the scene happening in the middle of the deserted street. Elon walked closer, feeling uneasy. He was no stranger to the stories of injustice that black people often suffered, but seeing it with his own eyes made him unable to ignore it. "What's going on here?" Elon said in a low voice, stepping closer to the two police officers. "This is none of your business, sir," one officer replied, his tone not very friendly, but their eyes flashed with surprise when they realized that this man was none other than Elon Musk, the world-famous man. "I just want to understand the situation," Elon continued, his voice gentle but firm. He turned to James, who was standing with his head bowed, his eyes filled with helplessness. "Are you okay?" James raised his head, his eyes meeting Elon's. In that moment, he felt a glimmer of hope. "I didn't do anything. I was just on my way home," James said, his voice choked. "They say I caused the accident, but I wasn't even driving." Elon looked deep into his eyes, realizing the sincerity in James's words. He turned back to the policeman, his brows furrowing slightly. "Do you have any evidence?" One of the policemen replied, "We received a description from a witness. The suspect is a black man in a blue shirt, and he fits the description." Elon looked James up and down. He was wearing a blue shirt, but he knew that such a detail was too superficial to convict a man. "Did your witnesses see the suspect's face clearly, or was there a camera recording the incident?" Elon asked, his eyes sharp. The officers were silent for a moment. Then, one of them dodged the question. "We're just following procedure. If he's innocent, it'll all be cleared up at the station." Elon clenched his fists, sensing James's helplessness. "I won't let this end like this," he thought. As James was pushed into the police car, his eyes flashed with fear but also with a glimmer of hope. He didn't know who the man who had just spoken was, but he sensed concern and determination in those eyes, and he prayed that somehow the truth would come out. Elon stood silently watching the police car drive away, his heart heavy. He knew he couldn't turn away. An innocent man was being dragged into the vortex of an unjust system, and he would do everything he had to bring him back. That night, he set out on a journey not only to save James, but to initiate a greater change. The next morning, Elon Musk arrived at the Cortland Police Department early. The chief's office was on the second floor, a large but simple room with walls lined with photos and awards from the police force over the years. When Elon entered, the chief, Richard Harris, stood up, his face showing surprise. "Mr. Musk, I didn't expect to have the honor of meeting you here. Is there anything I can do?" Richard said, his voice both polite and cautious. Elon sat down in the chair opposite him, his eyes calm but firm. "I'm here to talk about an incident that occurred last night. I believe a man named James was wrongfully arrested." "My?" Richard raised his eyebrows, looking surprised. "Mr. Musk, we arrested him based on a witness statement. The procedure was followed properly." "My?" "But a vague statement without any concrete evidence is not enough to arrest someone," Elon replied, his voice sharp. "James was not driving at the time. I believe he is completely innocent." "My?" Richard was silent for a moment, then said, "You know, we work on the information we have. If he is innocent, it will be cleared up through the investigation." "My?" Elon looked straight into Richard's eyes. "I'm not here to wait. I want to help solve this problem now." Richard sighed. "So what do you propose?" "My?" "I want to review all the evidence related to the accident." And Elon said, "In addition, I have a technological solution that can help identify the real suspect in just a few minutes. If you allow me, I can demonstrate it." Richard looked at Elon, his expression a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. "What technology?" "My?" "AI analyzes images from surveillance cameras," Elon explained. "The system is capable of recognizing and comparing faces to a database, quickly and accurately identifying suspects. More importantly, it would ensure that innocent people like James don't get dragged into legal trouble." "My?" Richard mused. He wasn't one for change, especially when it came to complex technology. But Elon's determined gaze and the logic in his words made Richard reconsider. Finally, he nodded. "Okay, I'll allow the test. But Mr. Musk, if the technology doesn't work, I won't accept any further intervention." "My?" "I understand. Let the facts speak for themselves," Elon replied. Within 2 hours, the video footage from the scene of the accident was delivered. Elon quickly set up his analysis system with the help of a team of engineers working remotely. The data was fed into the system, and within 15 minutes, the results were in. The suspect was not James, but another man with a similar appearance and driving a car of the same color as the original description. Richard looked at the results on the screen, unable to hide his surprise. "This is unbelievable. This is the suspect we were looking for." "Then let James go," Elon said, his voice firm. Richard nodded. Immediately, the order to release James was issued. However, the story did not end there. Elon Musk continued with his next story. Right from the beginning of the story, he saw the attitude of the police officers here. James might not have been arrested simply because he somewhat resembled the description of the suspect, but also because he was black. "I also want to propose a more permanent solution to avoid similar cases from happening in the future." But Elon Musk continued his story. "What do you mean?" Harris asked, his eyes full of questions. Elon smiled slightly, his voice becoming more confident. "I want to introduce an integrated AI system to analyze data from police body cams. This system not only helps identify procedural violations, but also helps stop bias or misconduct before it becomes a major problem. The police chief frowned. AI? That sounds promising, but it also comes with risks, privacy, data misuse, and most of all, I don't want my force to feel like it's being constantly watched. Under the pale glow of his office lights, Police Chief Richard Harris sat across from Elon Musk. The atmosphere in the room was tense, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. He was facing one of the world's greatest technology pioneers, but Richard couldn't help but feel like he was facing a difficult choice, one that involved the honor and autonomy of the police force under his command. Elon Musk leaned forward, his gaze sharp but friendly. He began, "Mr. Harris, I understand your concerns. AI technology can create the impression that it is replacing or taking away human control. But I believe that, if deployed properly, AI is not just a tool, but a partner helping to improve the efficiency and transparency of police work." Richard Harris nodded slightly, but his eyes were still filled with questions. "I don't doubt the capabilities of AI technology, Mr. Musk, but you have to understand that police officers are not just law enforcement officers. We are human beings with instincts and real-world experience. Can a machine truly understand the complex situations we face every day? And what happens if AI makes a mistake? Who will be responsible?" Elon smiled, understanding the chief's hesitation. He pulled a thin laptop from his briefcase and opened a presentation. The screen displayed a simple but intuitive interface, demonstrating how the AI system analyzes the body cam data. "Let me explain," Elon began. "This AI system is not meant to replace humans, but to assist them. It works by collecting data from police body cameras. The AI then analyzes actions, body language, and tone of voice to identify signs of irregularity or potential bias. The goal is to provide you and your officers with a holistic, unbiased, data-driven view." Harris folded his arms, leaning forward. "So what happens if this data is misused? Or if the AI makes a mistake and it has serious consequences?" Elon understood that this was one of Harris's biggest concerns. He calmly replied, "Mr. Harris, this is why we have invested so much in developing a safe and transparent system. Every decision that the AI proposes will be clearly explained. And in the end, the decision will still be up to the human. Your team will be trained to understand how to use this technology, and all data will be encrypted to ensure safety. Furthermore, this system will not only monitor the behavior of suspects, but also help protect the officers themselves from unfair accusations." Chief Harris was silent, his eyes stopping on the laptop screen, where Elon was showing an illustrative video. In the video, a police officer was handling an arrest situation. The AI analyzed and flagged an unusual action. The suspect's body language showed extreme fear, which was not appropriate for the situation. Thanks to this data, the command team quickly intervened, preventing a serious misunderstanding. Richard tilted his head, his voice thoughtful. "I have to admit, this system sounds impressive, but if we were to deploy it on a large scale, we would face resistance from the officers themselves. They might feel over-surveilled, and it would affect their morale." Elon nodded, as if he had anticipated this reaction. "I completely understand that. No one likes the feeling of being watched, but look at it from another angle. This system is not just surveillance, it is protection. It will help officers avoid situations where they might be misunderstood or falsely accused. Furthermore, all data will be processed transparently. Officers will have access to and review their own data, and any decisions will be reviewed by an independent panel.
My.
Harris sighed, leaning back in his chair. It's not just about technology, Mr. Musk. It's about trust. How do we convince our force that this technology will be a benefit rather than a threat?
My.
Elon chuckled, placing his hands on the table, his voice becoming sincere. Trust can't be built overnight. But Mr. Harris, consider this an opportunity to demonstrate that your force is constantly improving and being transparent. We can't avoid technology forever, but we can master it. Use it to strengthen trust between police and the community.
My.
Harris was silent for a long moment. Elon's words echoed in his head, evoking deep consideration. He knew that this was not just a technological decision, but also a major turning point for his force. After a moment of thought, he stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the view of the city of Cortland. Under the streetlights, the patrol cars were still quietly carrying out their duties, carrying the responsibility of maintaining order. He turned back, his eyes no longer as reserved as before. "Okay, Mr. Musk," Harris said, his voice low but firm. "I will allow this system to be tested, but I need your assurance that if any problems arise, you will be directly responsible." Elon stood up, shook Harris's hand, his smile carrying determination. "You will not be disappointed. Chief, this is just the beginning. Together, we can create a better future, not only for this city, but also for the justice system." Elon Musk saluted the chief and walked out of the conference room. At the same time, he caught sight of James, who had just been released. When James walked out of the cell, his eyes were filled with emotion. He looked at Elon, unable to find the words to express his gratitude. "Thank you. If it weren't for you, I don't know what I would do," James said, his voice shaking. Elon smiled, placing his hand on James's shoulder. "I just did the right thing, and I promise I won't let this happen to anyone else."
My.
The incident not only cleared James, but also ushered in a major reform of the Cortland police force. After the AI system was deployed in Cortland, the small city quickly became the center of national attention. At first, public opinion was skeptical about the effectiveness of this technology. Many worried that using AI to analyze data from police body cams could lead to potential risks, such as privacy invasion or errors in assessing real-world situations. However, the initial results in Cortland quickly proved that the combination of technology and the spirit of justice can create unexpected, positive changes. With the help of AI, the Cortland police force is starting to see a marked change in the way they do their jobs. One of the biggest benefits is the ability to respond more quickly and accurately to complex situations. Previously, when dealing with a case, police relied on instinct and experience, but these factors were sometimes overridden by emotions or unconscious biases. The AI system helps eliminate these subjective factors, providing them with objective data and suggesting solutions based on their analysis of the situation. The AI system also helps police monitor their own behavior. This initially caused some apprehension within the force, but gradually they realized that the technology was not there to control them, but to protect them. Officers understood that in a society where every action of the police can be closely monitored by the public and the media, having a tool that helps them demonstrate transparency and professionalism was essential. For the people of Cortland, the change in the way the police operate has brought new life. People who once felt afraid or distrustful of the police have begun to change their minds. Complaints about police misconduct have dropped significantly, while surveys show that community satisfaction with the police has increased. Cortland's successes have not stopped at the city. As positive stories spread, other localities began to take an interest in and learn about the application of AI technology in police forces. Leaders, from mayors to police chiefs in major cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, and Atlanta, traveled to Cortland to observe and learn firsthand. Elon Musk also actively participated in technology conferences and forums to introduce the model he had deployed. He emphasized that AI is not a magic solution that can solve all problems in the justice system, but it is a big step toward transparency and fairness. Technology cannot replace humans, but it can support humans in making better decisions. The most important thing is that we use technology for the right purpose and responsibly. Elon said at a conference in Washington, D.C., under Elon's leadership and the support of local leaders, a national movement began to take shape. Other cities are also experimenting with integrating AI into their police systems. The federal government, recognizing the technology's potential, has decided to fund pilot projects in various states. The movement is not limited to using AI in police forces. It has also spurred a national conversation about reforming the justice system. Lawmakers and experts are starting to look at how the technology can be applied to other areas, such as analyzing criminal records, improving the judicial process, and ensuring fairness in sentencing. In Cortland, where the movement began, residents are proud that their city has become a symbol of progress. "I always thought technology was for places like Silicon Valley," said young resident Jake Williams. "But now I realize that even a small city like Cortland can lead a major revolution." Cortland's story is proof that, even on a small scale, any community can lead to a major change. And more importantly, it reminds us that, when used properly, technology is not just a tool, but a bridge that brings people closer to the ideals of justice and humanity.